Hi there, everybody. Welcome to CIS276, an introduction to C++. I am the instructor for the course, Eric Wolf. Really, just Eric is fine in any and all communication. What I thought I would try to do here is just to provide a little bit of a supplement, something like we would do in the in-class environment. I know here online, some students really prefer just to be left alone. And other students would do well with the kinds of in-class supplemental instruction that their schedule just wouldn't allow. So what I have sprinkled throughout the course here for you is a selection of podcasts, a selection of screencasts, and a selection of code samples. All of those together, I hope will at least approach giving you all of what you need to be successful here with the course. So that means if you do well as a visual learner, there are a selection of screencasts and video podcasts for you. If you do well as an audio learner that types and listens at the same time, you've got a bunch of podcasts there for you. If you just want to see some examples redacted and different from out of the textbook, you have some of those available to you. And if you don't need me getting in your way, you can ignore any and all of those things. I have no preference here. Really, far and away, my biggest concern is how successful it is that you are going to be with the course. So here, this is the syllabus portion. We'll talk about those things that are not necessarily covered in big, bold print in the syllabus. I am not going to insult you by reading to you from the syllabus. I figure by the time you've made it this far, you can read. So I won't do that to you again. First and foremost, the grading scale is probably going to be something that everybody is concerned with. That is the typical grading scale. It's located on the bottom of page 2, 90 and above an A, 80 to 89, B, so on and so forth. Completely and totally standard grading scale there. Top of page 3, the textbook. Yes, absolutely, positively, you are going to need the textbook. The 9th edition of this text is the one you are going to be aiming at. There are 2 versions of the 9th edition of the text. One of them contains a code for my programming lab. You do not need that version of the text. It adds extra cost, and we actually just simply don't use any of it. So save yourself some money. There are certainly used copies of this text. There are certainly new copies of this text, and there are certainly e-copies of this text. Just a word on the e-copy. That version of the text has been available for 3 years now, and I have yet to receive a positive piece of feedback from a student who went with the e-copy of the text. It's just, when you're learning a new programming language, you're going to be flipping back and forth in between, the source material, which would probably be your book or a video or a podcast, the coding environment, and back to the source and back to the coding environment. And it made many, many students struggle. So I'm not yet comfortable, based on essentially the Yelp reviews, recommending that. In no way, shape, or form am I going to police that, nor would I consider ever doing so. So if you are pleased with the EText, that is perfectly okay by me. You can go ahead and use it. While we're at it, here on page number 2, we do have some software and developers environments to talk about really quickly. The first one I have listed for you here, Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2017, really is the big bad yardstick by which the industry measures probably how you'll go about doing the coding here. It is proprietary software. Visual Studio Community lacks some of the big enterprise features, but nothing that we're ever going to miss. But this is what I can tell you about installing Visual Studio Community. Number one, it takes roughly 4 bajillion gigabytes of space to be able to actually run. About the smallest install you can get away with is 8+ gigabytes worth of space, which, on a space-deprived machine is really asking a lot. Secondarily, it takes a ton of RAM. It takes a ton of processor overhead. And if you are in any way, shape, or form worried about the longevity, the performance, or even just the likelihood that your laptop or desktop is not going to suddenly start smoking and explode, I do not recommend installing Visual Studio Community. It's just more than you're probably going to need. Actually, the tool I recommend that we use, certainly here in the beginning and all the way through class, is Replit. The link you'll see, it's the bottom of the 3 developers environments here on page number 3. Replit is free, but it is a paid-for solution. We actually don't need any of the paid solutions here. So it's not that this is like a fly-by-night kind of operation. Replit runs on the Amazon platform. It is almost 100% uptime, which means that there's a very, very low probability of it not being available for you. The other benefits to Replit are if you have a Chromebook, you can actually code along. If you have somehow a standards non-compliant laptop, if you have a tablet and you are just interested in punishing yourself somehow needlessly, you can actually do the coding from Replit on a tablet. Now, I actually don't recommend that, but Replit on a regular platform, so a Mac or a PC, on a desktop or a laptop, it really doesn't matter. Replit is a fantastic solution. There are some podcasts that accompany this that'll kind of walk you through how to use Replit. This will be the primary tool we use, but here and there throughout the course, we'll actually talk again about Visual Studio, just because very, very probably that's the name brand solution that you'll see out there if and when you're developing in C++. Here also on the bottom of page 3, I really want to draw your attention to this, is the withdrawal options portion. Really, there are only 2 options here for withdrawal. They are you withdraw from the course at any time between now and the midterm. That is okay. Or I withdraw you from the course. The only time I will consider withdrawing you from the course is at the midterm. After that time, it is out of my hand. So that means if you are on the fence about continuing on here, picking it up again later on when you have a little bit more, free time, or when you can dedicate more time to the course, or whatever it happens to be, I am not here to judge based on whether or not you had to withdraw from a course. I think that's completely and totally beside the point of why we have colleges. We're here to offer you the material you need when you need it, and that's why we have 300 sections of C++ every semester. Look, if it's going to be clear to you that you're going to struggle, that it might, be on the fence about you being able to pass the course, etc., I'm of the mind to withdraw strategically and come back here when it is that you have an opportunity to actually succeed at a place where it makes more sense for you. So at the time of the midterm, I put those midterm grades in. Once I hit submit, I can tell you there is nothing I will do, there's nothing I can do, and I won't investigate doing anything about it. So it is really up to you to withdraw from the course. And again, in no way, shape, or form do I feel like a withdrawal is somehow cowardly or untoward or any of those things. Look, we have withdraw here because we understand, I especially understand, that you are going to have, strains and stresses and pressures from outside of just this one course. And if it means that you have to come back to us later on when you are better suited to be able to do so, absolutely do that. I want you to be successful. And if that means a strategic retreat, that makes all the sense in the world to me. Next, on page 4, we have the academic honesty statement. It just says, "Don't cheat, Eric will catch you," and that is, for the most part, true. Notification of services for students with disability. It says, "Come talk to me and we're going to make it work for you." For anybody else who would like some sort of consideration, I don't care what that is, honestly. Come talk to me about it. Send me a message, shoot me an email. That's all fine and good by me. I want to make sure that you have the best opportunity possible to be able to get what you need out of this course, to further your career, and to be more successful. So if that's something I can investigate, I am happy to at least investigate it for you. Speaking of contacting me, the thing I always forget here on the very first page is my contact info. What I can tell you is my phone number there on the very first page is my office phone number, 815-921-3115. The got you about my phone number at RVC is we cannot forward out our voicemails. So that means in between Thursday and Tuesday when I return to campus, I will not be able to get your voicemail. So that means if you have come across an issue that needs attention, it is going to go the balance of a week before I can get back to it. Located immediately below that really is my cell phone number. Yes, I am clearly not fully sane for having provided this to you. And the thing I will tell you about that is it's the fastest way to get a hold of me. Send me a text, shoot me an email, whatever you need to do, I'm going to get back to you as quickly as I can about something. The two things I have to say about the text or to call me at my cell phone are as follows. Use, can I call it common sense? Between the hours of just call them business hours, 8 and 5, Monday through Friday. I'm happy to get back to you on stuff. Certainly, I will try to get back to you on the weekends as well. I may not be as attached to a computer as I am during the week, but I will certainly try to get back to you. On the other side of the page there are my office hours. What I can tell you is that between now, the beginning of the semester, and the midway point of the semester, those office hours will be correct. After the week of the midterm, those office hours will be changing, not too greatly, but they will be changing, and I will have those posted on the homepage in Eagle so that you can see them there. I just sit there in my office. I am more than happy to set aside a time to talk to you about anything it is that you're having an issue with. Again, we're here to make sure that you can be as successful as possible. And if you are just struggling with the content, and if you are taking it all upon yourself to somehow get over that mountain without, some sort of external support there, that's really not what having a college here is for. Set aside a time. Let me know you're coming to see me. Let me know if those office hours don't work for you. I can try to set aside additional time. The one thing I will say for that is if it seems as though I'm trying to not come down for additional office hours, technically speaking, that is kind of true. I actually still live in Milwaukee, despite the fact that I commute all the way down to Rockford every day. So if I don't have to set aside additional times for childcare, I don't. I'm happy to do so. If you are going to, if you need that additional time, I'm happy to do so. I'm happy to work with you to try to negotiate when a time for that would be. But that's just on my docket, so I'm just making everybody aware. As far as anything else that really sticks out here is going to be the late work policy. And for that, we have to go all the way down to page number 5. My late work policy is this. Late work is accepted up to 1 week late. So that means if things are due on Sunday night and you are, for whatever reason, unable to accomplish that on time, I understand that kind of stuff happens. I will take it for 1 week at a 50% penalty. After 7 days, I will no longer take those. It's not that I'm trying to, make your life harder than it has to be. It's just that in order to keep, all of these programming assignments moving forward, in order to keep you at a pace that makes sense so that you can complete everything you need to complete by the time the course is over, we really need to keep a pretty brisk pace. And for me, I used to try to accept any and all late work right up until the very end of the semester. And what I can tell you that does is, it works really great for some people. And for some people, they just think, to heck with it. I'm just going to hand everything in at the very end. And then I can't really evaluate that. You're not getting any kind of constructive feedback. It just really doesn't work. Now, that's not to say that I am a complete lunatic and don't understand that outside of this class that you are going to have responsibilities and other things to have to deal with, I am more than willing to be able to work with you on, the extension of a deadline if you get to me early enough with those. What I can tell you is, Sunday at 5 p.m., I'm a lot less likely to give you an extension as I am, Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday even, when you've got a work deployment, you're moving, you've got sick kids. The reasons I will accept an extension are many. I just need you to communicate with me sooner rather than later for us to be able to make that work for you. Otherwise, take the 50% penalty, continue on working on what you're working on, get the material in, because really legitimately it's true that everything we do from, week 2 to 3 to 4, just keep building, and just taking a pass at completing, one chapter's worth of material really is going to have a serious negative penalty on you down the road. So this penalty is here to kind of protect other students who took all of those external pressures and were still able to work with it. It's really attempting not to punish people who, still had a really shitty week, but were able to do what they needed to do. And it's really here to also keep you on track to get everything done. The only other thing of note here is on page number 7, I do have the fall 2018 academic calendar. So this has the dates of note for you. So like when Thanksgiving is, things of that nature. So that is on there. The other things of note are on the very, very last page is a rough course outline of what it is that we'll do. You can see that not necessarily every chapter has a corresponding week. Some chapters we will bridge over 2 or 3 weeks. Other portions of chapters we will do in 1 week. So this gives you an idea of when everything is due. Actually, if you go over to modules, you'll actually see a layout of when everything is due. You can see everything from right now is there for you in module. So if you would like to see kind of the future of things to come, that is where you go about doing that. So remember, communicate early and often. I am willing to work with you on an extension for whatever reason, for the most part, so long as we can make that negotiation happen sooner in the week rather than later. I tend just kind of not to be that flexible. By the time Sunday at 4 p.m. rolls around, yeah, you're probably out of luck at that point. Remember, on the very home page there of the syllabus and on the home page of Eagle are ways to get a hold of me. That really is my cell phone number. You are welcome to call and text, so long as it's a normal human being and not troglodyte hours. That would be perfectly okay. Message me, email me, all of those things. I will try to get back to you as quickly as possible. Other than that, here's to a good course. Remember to use those podcasts, to use those videos, to use those code samples. If you are not getting what you need out of just the textbook, that is what all of those other supplement materials are for. Very much like what this one is for. All right, everybody, good luck.